more holes in armor. Fucking armor. Shit! No! Crap!
Yo, what's up, agents? How's everybody doing? Hopefully you guys are hanging in there, being as safe as you need to be. So, there's a whole bunch of new stuff that came out. What I wanted to hit up today is there's been some pretty massive changes to the brand sets. So I just want to run down the different brand sets we have and the ones that changed. For the most part, almost every single brand set has changed. I think there's four brand sets that there was no changes to. Everything else had at least one change, if not having all three components changed. All right, so let's get into each of these brand sets, see what has been changed. All right, so we're going to try to go in alphabetical order. We're going to start with the 511 Tactical. So, the 511 Tactical, first off, the one piece went from plus 10% health to plus 30% health. The two-piece bonus, the 20% incoming repair stays the same, and the hazard protection moves from 10% hazard protection to 20% hazard protection. All right, next we have Araldi's. Araldi's is one of the pieces that did not change at all. Everything about Araldi's has remained the same. All right, next we have the Alps Summit armaments. So the Alps, the repair skill stays the same. The skill duration moves from 20% to 30% skill duration, and the skill haste moves from 10% to 30%. So, couple decent jumps for the 2 and 3 piece there. All right, next we got Badger Tough. Badger Tough simply adds the armor on kill. We go from 10% armor on kill to 15% armor on kill for the 3-piece bonus. All right, next we move on to the Bellstone Armory. The only change to Bellstone Armory comes in the form of the 3-piece bonus, which moves from 20% incoming repairs to 40% incoming repairs. Next, we have the Brazo de Arquebus, which unfortunately only gets a 3-piece bonus. It does kick the magazine size up from 20% mag size up to 50%. So that is a nice bonus. Next, we have the Cheska Veroba, the CV set. I've been getting that wrong for 5 years. I'm not going to get it right now. Anyway, moving on. So the only bonus that we get here, and it is one of the most substantial, is again the 3-piece bonus. We move from plus 10% health up to plus 90% health. So I could see this really working its way into certain types of DPS builds, and this certainly brings back the memory of the Berserk talent that we used to have, where you would do all the bonus damage if your armor was depleted. It makes me wonder if maybe we're going to be seeing that Berserk talent come back in some way, shape, or form. All right, next off we have the China Light. So the China Light sees a 2-piece and 3-piece increase. The 2-piece, the skill haste moves from plus 10% to 20% skill haste. Same with status effects, 10% up to 20% status effect bonus. All right, moving on to Douglas and Harding. So the 2-piece, we see a stability increase from 20 to 30%, and the 3-piece sees a increase in accuracy from 20 to 50%. Moving on to one of the newer brand sets, we have the Electrique, which does see a fairly significant 3-piece bonus increase from plus 10% SMG damage up to plus 30% SMG damage. So if you are speccing into SMGs, you may want to consider this. All right, next we have the Empress International. The Empress International, being as powerful as it is, did not see any increase to any of the stats. So Fenris saw a nice little buff to the 2-piece and the 3-piece. The 2-piece goes from 20% reload speed to 30% reload speed, and the stability jumps from 20% bonus up to a 50% bonus. All right, Gila saw two decent buffs to both the 2 and the 3-piece set. So first of all, the 2-piece bonus goes from plus 10% health all the way up to plus 60% health. And the 3-piece bonus goes from 1% to 2% armor regen. All right, agents, so the GL set sees an increase of the 2-piece bonus from 1 to 1.5% armor regen per second. Luckily, in my case, we're taking advantage of that in a couple different builds. And the total armor percent moves from plus 5 to plus 10%. Now, Grupo Sombra is an interesting one as it only sees a bonus to its 2-piece, and that's in the fact that it moves from plus 15 up to plus 20% explosives damage. So this comes in really well for some explosive builds that I'm running. I dig this. If you're checking out explosives builds, this is a great way to add a little bit more damage to your build. All right, the Hasbro Guard sees a decent bump with the 15% marksman rifle damage in the 2nd piece bonus bumping up to 20%, and the 3-piece bonus kicking that status effects from 10% all the way up to 20%. So the Hana-U Corporation, the only buff that it got was to the 3-piece bonus, which moves from plus 5 to plus 10% weapon damage. All right, so the Lengmo set gets an increase to the 2 and the 3-piece bonus. The 2-piece, the skill health bonus goes from 10% up to 25%. More importantly, that LMG damage goes from 15% all the way up to 30%. So that is huge for an LMG build. If you could work that in, that's going to be massive. Now, Murakami gets a bonus to both the repair skill and the skill damage. So the 2nd piece bonus, the repair skill, moves from 20% to a 30% repair skill bonus. And the 3-piece bonus moves from 10% to 20% bonus skill damage. So the Overlord sees a buff to both the 2 and the 3-piece bonus. The 2-piece moving from 20 to 30% accuracy. The 3-piece bonus moving from 10% all the way up to 30% weapon handling. Next we have the new Palisades. This is not anything that got amended, but I'll just throw it in there for completion. So the 1-piece bonus gives you 10% armor on kill. The 2-piece bonus gives you 60% health. And the 3rd piece will give you plus 1 skill tier. Note that I believe it's armor as the core attribute. All right, next we have the Petrov Defense Group. So the 2-piece bonus moves from 10 to 15% weapon handling. And the 3-piece bonus takes you from 20 to 50% ammo capacity. Moving on to Providence Defense. So the thing about the Providence is it is such a powerful gear or brand set already. They made no changes to it, and I agree. It is a solid performer. Now moving on to what I consider an underperformer, the R&K, the Richter and Kaiser. So the 1-piece bonus stays the same. The 2-piece bonus, we move from 10 to 25% explosive resistance. And the 3-piece bonus, we move from 20 to 40% repair skills. I still can't imagine anybody is going to be using this, but hell, what do I know? Another solid performer that doesn't get any buffs is the Sokolov Concern. SMG damage, crit hit chance, crit hit damage, all those stay the same. The only buff that the Yuzuna Getaga sees is the bonus of the 3-piece from 10% to 20% hazard protection. So that's just a small little buff right there. So the Walker Harrison Company brand set sees a bonus only to the 3-piece set, which buffs the damage to health up from 5 to 10%. All right, we're getting close to the end here. We got Wyvernware. So the Wyvernware does get the 2-piece bonus, kicked up 10 to 15% status effects. And the 3-piece, the 20% skill duration gets buffed up to 40%. All right, and congratulations to anybody who made it all the way to the end of this. Last, we have the Y'all Gear. And the Y'all Gear had absolutely no changes whatsoever. This is pretty much the Dark Zone gear set, and it's built great the way it is. So, we had a lot of changes overall. One of the biggest changes we noticed is that it seems like they tried to make it so adding in the 2-piece bonus would give you something beyond, oftentimes the thing that was a 10% bonus is buffed up to 15%. The 3-piece bonuses, some of them are pretty soft, some of them are pretty nice. When you got, like, for instance, we got the Brazil de Arquebus that you get from 20 up to 50% mag size. That could be huge for DPS. Things like the CV, that 3-piece bonus goes from 10% bonus health all the way up to 90% bonus health. You got the Electrique, which the SMG damage in that 3rd slot goes from 10 to 30%. For an SMG build, that could be huge. When we're looking at the Legmo gear set, that 3-piece bonus goes from 10 to 30% LMG damage. So looking at that, you're looking at easy ways of buffing up both SMGs and LMG damage by utilizing these 3-piece sets. When we take the Ninja Bike into consideration, that makes it way easier than you might think. Also the Petrov, if ammo capacity is a big thing, not max size, but overall ammo capacity, the 3-piece bonus moves you from 20 to 50% ammo capacity. That's going to be a lot of extra bullets. Even some of these 2-piece buffs were pretty significant. You got the Gila, that the 2-piece moves you from 10 to 60% health bonus. You have the Murakami, where we're going to move from 20 to 30% repair skill. For a healer or a medic, that could come in big if you're using that. Wyvernware gets the buff from that 10 to 15% status effects, but the biggest one that sticks out to me is that Grupo Sombra, where the explosive damage moves from 15 to 20%. Given we only have 2 methods of getting explosive damage buff other than running the Demolitionist specialization, you only have the China Light and the Grupo Sombra to get that. There are no 3-piece explosive damage brand sets yet. Anyway, speaking of explosive damage and stuff, we definitely got a pretty cool perfect talent in that perfectly explosive delivery. Anyway, thank you so much for getting this way through, guys. Stay tuned. I got a pretty interesting video coming up dealing with this perfectly explosive delivery, and one specific skill I did not cover in my video of that talent that's kind of broken. So stay tuned for that video. All right, agents, that was a lot to cover today. So hopefully you guys learned something new, found this entertaining. If so, smashing that like button would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by now I have earned your guys' subscription. The best thing you can do to help my channel is to share this video. And anything you want to see in the future, or anything you think I may have gotten wrong, do me a favor, leave a comment down below. All right, you just be as safe as you need to be out there, and I will catch you all in the dark zone. Peace out, everybody.